I'm Richard Wurtman. I'm a professor at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and also at Harvard Medical School. Most of my work involves either basic science studies in the lab with animals and cells, trying to discover something. So I've been fortunate to have invented a number of different things. And what I'll be discussing today, Suvinade, we did much basic research in the laboratory for years, establishing that certain nutrients might limit the ability of the brain to make more synapses, and that's what you need in Alzheimer's. Suvinade contains a number of ingredients, all of which are nutrients, but the three most important ones are uridine, as uridine monophosphate, UMP, and omega-3 fatty acid, namely DHA or EPA, and choline. Why are they most important? Because in the case of all three of them, their levels in brain are normally a little bit too low to cause maximal stimulation of making additional synapses. And that's again because the enzymes that act on these compounds are low affinity. Why do you have to have all three of them together? And the answer is because if all three can be limiting, and if you raise the levels of one of them to normal, the other two become more limiting. And if you raise the levels of two of them, then the third becomes limiting. But then if you satisfy the requirements for all three of them, nothing is limiting, and you get maximal production of synapses. These compounds have to be able to pass from the blood into the brain, and there's something, an anatomic barrier called the blood-brain barrier, that keeps most compounds, particularly charged compounds like these are, keeps them out of the brain. And yet the brain needs them. There are proteins called carrier proteins within the blood vessels lining the brain. And they pick up a molecule of choline or a molecule of uridine and transport it to the brain side and then release it there. And that enables blood levels of these compounds to influence brain levels. Well, these carrier proteins are also low affinity. And so when you increase blood choline levels, you rapidly have a rise in brain choline. The same is true of DHA, the same is true also of uridine. So in a sense, the system seems almost as though it's set up to allow physiologic changes in blood composition to affect brain composition and therefore to affect synapse formation.